Mother-in-law lives in Laos, a developing country in Asia. I was born there too, but left when I was 10 months. Mother-in-law had fallen victim to romance scams in the past, but only losing maybe 2 to 5,000 USD. We knew she had in the past 6 months fallen for another romance scam, but didn't think it was serious. My wife has in the past 4 years completely renovated her mother's house, new backyard, new additions to the house, even left her still relatively new car for her mother. My wife also sends her mom about $700 USD a month for expenses, the same amount she sends to her father, and he says it's more than enough. Mother-in-law is not cash rich, but has access to properties. We would then hear things like how mother-in-law is very frugal, lives like a destitute person. Mother-in-law would constantly be asking my wife for advances in her allowance. Then we would hear from others that mother-in-law told people that we have never sent her any money at all, not even $1, in an attempt to convince that person to lend her money. Then we start getting calls from village elders and family members that the mother-in-law is trying to pawn properties for loans, some successfully. She has no intention of paying these loans. For the papers we could get, they take the property after 6 months of backed payments. Mother-in-law thinks she will be living in the US by the time the loans are due, and her great lover will pay off the loans. She's been able to pawn things that aren't even in her name. She has pawned in the past month jewelry 10,000, 4-acre plot 12,000, real value 50,000, scooters 1,000, rental advance from a business property she owns 1 out of 6 of 20,000, my wife's car 3,000, real value 15,000. The roughly 50,000 she received from the loans, she's already given away to the scammers. She has also attempted to sell but were stopped by officials. Another 4-acre plot, 18,000, real value 100,000. Her own house in the capital, right in the central business district 100,000, real value 500,000. Her 1 out of 6 plot for family business property, 50,000, real value 250,000. My wife's family is not used to confrontations. I think it's actually a cultural thing. So despite everyone knowing what needs to be done, no one is leading. So I guess I am. In 3 weeks, we will be landing in Laos. I will lead an intervention, around 10 people, victim impact statements, etc. I got my sister-in-law and mother-in-law ex-husband to talk to the officials to make sure the second farm plot, own house, and family business cannot be sold, as the village officials have to sign off on it. We will pay off the car loan and then sell the car. We cannot get back the plot of land without mother-in-law helping, as she has the loan papers, and these loan people are shysters, so unless mother-in-law is convinced she has been scammed, that plot is gone. If mother-in-law comes to her senses, we will use the car money and put in our money funds to buy back the land. We stopped sending mother-in-law money last month. We pay her utility bills directly and pay sister-in-law to buy groceries to put in her fridge. Issue with the house she's trying to sell is 2 of her daughters, and quite often 1 or 2 grandkids also live here. Losing the house will not just affect the mother-in-law. If you've read this far, holy thank you. I need help with this intervention. I've never even done one before and need some guidance. We plan on taking her smartphone and replacing with one of those brick Nokia. I am expecting the intervention to last 5 to 6 hours. Also thinking of not letting her leave the house, even for days or weeks until she gets it. If she doesn't wake up and realize what's happening and pawns the house she lives in, we will not help. I will not put up $130,000 for this batshit crazy lady and risk my own family's financial future. So this intervention, as serious as it may get, has to work, or we will be cutting our mother-in-law completely from our life. I guess what I am asking is, for those who have successfully got their family members to realize they were scammed, what did it? How were you successful? What was the process like for someone this deep in? Edit. My wife just approached me with a solution that her sister looked into. I think we're going to check our mother-in-law into a mental health addiction clinic. A hospital referred us to them. We have spoken with the police who will take her to the clinic. Curious what people here think of this solution. Some comments. Top comment. Somebody said, unfortunately, it usually makes them run out of money. They want to believe what they are being told is true so bad. Convincing them otherwise is almost impossible. On YouTube, there's a channel called Catfished. Maybe you can contact them and have them show that it's a scam. Original poster replied, "Yes, sad as it is. If this intervention doesn't work, we're out," my wife agrees. She's even sold my wife's jewelry and replaced them with fakes. Wife feels constantly betrayed. Commenter: bit of a cultural point. If your wife was raised in Lao culture, cutting off her mother would be basically impossible for her. It's one of the gravest sins in their culture, no matter what the parent does. I don't know her nor your relationship, but I would be highly skeptical about her alleged agreement to "we're out." She might have agreed to make you happy, avoid conflict, and move things along, but don't count on that happening so easily in the way an American would imagine. Original poster replied, "Yeah, you're right. If it came down to it, the kids and grandkids' kids have places to go. She doesn't. My wife would probably get a rental and pay someone to fill it with groceries." Commenter: it's very likely that even if you seem to get through to her, if you pay off anything, then she'll go right back and sell it again to give more to the scammer. We see this story time again here. The intervention or ultimatum seems to work, but very quickly they go back to the scammer again. You need to make sure to protect the house so her kids have a place to live. Original poster replied, "Here's what's more messed up. The house actually was the family house of her ex-husband's parents. They divorced, but he agreed to not split the house or have his name on the deed because he said his kids and grandchildren are living there, and he was happy his kids and grandkids could use it. Father-in-law is a cool dude. No one blames him for leaving." Update 1 month later, I never thought there'd be a part 2 because I didn't think there would be a point. But here goes. So the first few days we arrived in Laos, my mother-in-law was nowhere to be seen. On day 3, we get one of her friends to ask her to meet up casually. She says she can't. She's in another city for a funeral of her friend. We then figure she's hiding out in her country farmhouse an hour away. So now it's harder to get a lot of people in my planned intervention. Still, 6 people pack a van. Her brothers, her daughters, including my wife, and me. We head out. We park, and one of her daughters approaches the farmhouse. She calls out her mom, and her mom answers and tells us to go away. We surround the farmhouse, and everything is locked. We keep telling her that we just want to talk, but we'll break down the doors if she doesn't unlock the doors. Mother-in-law refuses to answer. There are 2 doors inside. One is boarded up and impossible to get through. The other we use a crowbar to wedge over the door. We get through the lock, but this woman has also used coat hangers wrapped around the doorknob, attached to something to keep us out. So now we spend 10 minutes getting through that. We go through the house, and she's locked in the bedroom. So now we start to crowbar this door. As we do so, she's screaming that we're coming to end her. Great. We get in, and she's an absolute mess. Hair all over the place, just general unkempt. Her older brother tries to talk to her, really calm. Like a good guy being nice. Calm. He gets a punch from her. She's also a heavy-set woman, probably hurt a little, even if she's elderly. So I sit down, and I totally think I got this. Right? I've seen some screenshots of her phone that people have managed to take, and was able to piece together the possible story. So I lay it out to her. A common enough romance scam. Scammer sends her something, gets stuck at customs. She sends money, but it's still stuck. Then the story escalates to a scammer coming to visit her, then is arrested and needs bail. Now it's her fault, and she needs to send money to bail him out. It's okay, though. When he's out, he will pay whatever cost she incurred, and they'll fly away to another country and live happily ever after. I spend 3 hours over logic and reason, like, why can't this guy call the embassy if he's stuck? She doesn't say a word, but does look at me when I talk. Finally, at hour 5, as everyone is tired and giving up, I give her a hug, and she absolutely breaks. She starts crying, telling us she believes us. Everyone hugs each other, which does not happen in this country. People are crying. I am like, yeah, I got this. She wants to spend another night at the farm, though. I get that. She's lost someone. This lover that no longer exists and who never loved her. I need to grieve. I ask for her phone, but she doesn't want to give it that night. She will give it tomorrow, but promises to not contact the scammers. Everyone leaves in good spirits. People seem happy, and dinner is had. Next day, my mother-in-law returns. I see her for maybe 5 minutes. Everyone seems good. I decide to go the route of starting on the family recovery part. Then a few days later, go for the financial part. We are staying in a hotel, not with my mother-in-law. So the next day, a small family dinner is held. People are happy to have their mother back. 2 days later, at a bigger family dinner, mother-in-law seems happy, and she agrees to talk about the financial part the next day. This whole time, I did not get that phone back from her. I was so focused on getting the family part back. Mistake. At the table sit myself, mother-in-law and her daughters. I start with a simple, "You do still believe us and not this scammer Kevin, right?" She replies with, "I don't know what you're talking about. There was never Kevin." So, yep, she's still talking to the scammer. Now, everyone is pissed. One of her daughters throws photocopied texts. Conversations between her and the scammer while yelling at her mom. "Oh yes, that Kevin. I can't believe this crap is happening." I try to keep everyone calm, but everyone is upset. What's crazy is that she seems to realize it's a scam, but at the same time still believes the scammer. We ask for property titles, so she can't pawn or sell things, and we can recover some things, but she only gives us partial actual documents or photocopies. Everyone is more pissed. She keeps denying having any loan papers, that the loan sharks kept them all. We don't believe it. She takes out her phone and starts to go through it to find one of her loan contacts. My wife decides this is it and lunges at her mother for the phone. My wife may be slim, but she's active at the gym. And of course, I naturally have to go at it too. So now 3 people are wrestling over the phone, which we manage to take. My wife quickly goes over conversations from the scammer and loan sharks. My wife reads aloud the messages and confirms that it was the same scam story that we thought. At this point, everyone seems calm. Mother-in-law seems resigned to the fact that we now have her phone and going through it. The rest of the family is bewildered at how obviously fake the lies and images that the scammer sent to her were, though, but no one is yelling at her. The scammer is apparently an American, head of medicine at some Boston hospital. Of course. Why wouldn't a 40-something head of medicine want my elderly, nearly obese mother-in-law? At one point, my wife sees that my mother-in-law asked the scammer why he didn't go to the embassy for help. The scammer said that there were no embassies from his county where he was being held. We question the mother-in-law, but she's not really talking much, but finally says he's in Germany. Everyone is still calm, though. I show my mother-in-law that there is an U.S. embassy in Germany, a half-dozen consulates, dozens of offices. She replied that she's going to have to let Kevin know about these options that he didn't know about. She still believes this dude. I show her that the plane tickets they sent to show he had a jet-set life didn't exist. The images were so ridiculously fake that anyone could Google and see why. A non-stop ticket from Kazakhstan to Tennessee on UA 134? Everyone is still trying to convince her, and calm though. My wife scrolls to the loan sharks. Financially, we are mostly where we think we are, except she has managed to pawn the country farmhouse. We didn't think she could because her ex-husband is on the title, and he did not agree to that. People are furious, and I am tired of holding them back. They verbally lay it on her. We put down on paper what the debt is, and I don't think she flinched. We did when we totaled it. $70,000 for properties and items worth $350,000. We try for 2 hours to talk sense into her, but she's still fully committed to believing the scammers. There is just one property left not pawned. The one we're currently in, the one that only has her name, but is actually her ex-husband's childhood house. Everyone leaves frustrated. My wife and I tell her that she would never see us again. She asked for her phone back, but our reply wasn't very nice. My wife worries her mother is going to self-end. She doesn't. Next day, we met up with the father-in-law, whom I always thought was a stand-up guy. Everyone thought he would be upset, but he was just disappointed. He goes on to explain that he removed his name from the house title in the capital because he didn't want his children or grandchildren to think he would try to kick them out in any way, as his ex-wife had repeatedly said it was something he would do. He was in tears and said he just wanted good things for his family. We agreed to meet up again the next day to start a plan to get the police to arrest my mother-in-law for selling the farm property that father-in-law did have his name on the title. Wife goes through the phone and we get an even clearer picture. Turns out those loan shysters weren't nearly actually as bad as we thought. Even the one that accepted a property as collateral knowing the father-in-law wasn't involved. There were two main loaners. Each loan to them started typical enough for the two properties, but then mother-in-law started asking to see if they would take a loan for the house in the capital. Both said no, stated that they didn't want any of the properties, they just wanted the interest from the loans. They started questioning if she was being scammed, telling her to talk to her family. She kept telling them she was fine. They kept insisting she gets her family involved. She said her family was why she didn't have anything and needed the loans. We called the loan people. They seem amicable and actually concerned for mother-in-law. One only wanted the principal back. The other seemed willing to accept the principal and a month's interest instead of everything that's occurred. My wife asked me if I remember the jewelry gifts we got for our wedding. I replied that I didn't until she mentioned it now. Good, then you won't miss them. Next day, my wife plans to pay the loan to get her car back. There's already a buyer. The sale of the car and the jewelry is enough to cover not everything, but at least the two farm properties. I guess I shouldn't be annoyed at losing the jewelry, definitely annoyed at mother-in-law though. Sure enough, midday, we get a text message from the scammer on my mother-in-law's phone, which we have, asking why he's getting texts from another number claiming to be my mother-in-law, and that is the new number to call. We throw a few curveballs at the scammer, but yep. Mother-in-law had a backup phone, which explains why she wasn't wrestling us back for the phone and is re-talking to the scammers. Yay. 2 hours after this, my sister-in-law puts her phone up to show me and my wife a live scene from the security cameras at the house. So a lot of people in this country still believe in animalism and spirits, etc. Conversations go like this. Sister-in-law, she's opening up all the windows in the house. Wife, that nasty bee. Yep, she's got them all opened. She's got some incense now. She's lighting them outside the house and waving them. Oh, damn her. I am so out of her life. What kind of mother does that? Me, scratching my head. What's going on? She just wished all the evil in the world to come to you and your wife. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for reading my rant. Well, we're here for another week. Let's see what crazy crap happens now. Hoping my mother-in-law does get arrested, I think it's likely, but maybe not before we leave. If you guys actually read this all the way through and the next part is interesting, I'll put it up. Mini update. Commenter, I would not bail her out of her loans with your money. She'll just do it again with the same scammer or a different scammer. I would move on with your life and stay out of hers. Original poster replied, the deed for the farm, that has my father-in-law as well on it, will be transferred entirely to my father-in-law. Apparently, this can be done without mother-in-law consent as long as officials agree, and it looks like this will agree. Another farm that is entirely in mother-in-law's name will hopefully be transferred to my wife eventually, as she is the one who actually paid for it, but we need mother-in-law to agree. Seems she won't agree anytime soon. However, we actually get to keep the title from through loaner after the debt is paid, so she won't be able to pawn anything without the title. As for the house in the capital, father-in-law's childhood home, father-in-law, along with the entire family, will be meeting with officials to have the title changed to be only under father-in-law's name. Plan is to get mother-in-law arrested and put away until she regains her senses. Can't believe it's come to that, but I don't see any to get her to her senses. Apparently, she's throwing garbage all over the house, unplugging laundry if someone is using the machine, just making the lives of her daughters still there miserable. The whole time screaming at whoever is there that soon she will have everything, and we will see she's right. I had previously told the daughters to go easy on the mom, but today I told them to go at it if they want. These are not defenseless women, they've just been holding back. She's going to be put away, it seems, one way or another. Update. This update isn't as exciting as the second update where we were breaking down doors with crowbars, and my mother-in-law putting a hex on us, but that's probably a good thing. I pushed getting her arrested, but apparently in Laos, it's not that simple. You have to go to the village elder. They have to get the village police involved, and then an actual arrest can be made. I am not sure if it really was this complicated, or if the family just didn't have the appetite for it. Of all the things she had pawned, we were interested in resolving 4 items that were pawned or suspected to be. My wife's car, 2 farm plots, and the house in the capital. We paid $3,000 to get the car back, which included the loan and interest. We then sold the car. My wife also sold the wedding jewelry we received many years ago. This, together with the proceeds of the car, was enough for us to pay back the loan and interest for the 2 farm plots. The papers were all signed in front of village officials. We had no idea where the deed to the house in the capital was. Turns out of the loan people had the deed all along. My mother-in-law was so desperate for money that she offered to take 5,000 for a house worth 500,000 USD. The loaner declined but held on to the deed, which was given back to us. The laws in Laos don't make any sense to me, and I am not sure how we're able to do the things we did after. The first farm plot is 6 acres and co-owned by mother-in-law and ex-husband. Mother-in-law managed to pawn the property without her ex-husband knowing, so now we are going by the official judgment from their divorce. 1.5 acres will be given to mother-in-law, but title will be given to one of her daughters to hold. The second farm plot is 5 acres. It was 100% in mother-in-law's name, but was paid for by my wife years ago. Title will now be transferred to my wife. As for the house in the capital, it 100% in my mother-in-law's name, even though it was my father-in-law's childhood home. This was because she had repeatedly accused him of, in the future, selling the house and leaving the grandkids with no place to go. Funny how it was actually the opposite. We're working on putting father-in-law back on the title, while one of my wife's sisters holds onto the title. My wife used to give her mother a $500-600 monthly stipend, but stopped a few months ago. She has told her sisters that she will still help pay for utilities and put groceries in her mother's fridge. Wife's niece and nephews also use the house. We have to pay utilities directly now, as the lights were just turned off recently because mother-in-law didn't pay utilities for 4 months. However, we have cut off all contact with mother-in-law. She won't see our son again either, and she has numerous photos of him in her house. We knew she had promised the scammers to get him money in April, so we tried to get ahead of that. She traveled to Thailand to ask some relatives for money, but we told them ahead of time not to give any money. In the end, she begged them for bags of rice to take home, which they gave. She also recently went to visit her son to ask him for money. He wasn't home, so she asked for $5 from her daughter-in-law's mother. She's going to several friends, asking for financial help, telling them that her kids abandoned her. So now we have to call those people and tell them that mother-in-law has been scammed, but we still put food in the fridge. Mother-in-law still believes the scammers. She wants to desperately believe she did not give the scammers our final tally of 70,000. She really wants to believe her lover is real. She has nothing left to pawn now since we have all the documents. I can only hope that within 6 months the scammers will stop talking to her once they realize she has nothing left, and maybe she will come to her senses. It's been exhausting, but I am glad we were able to get all 3 property titles back, so at least mother-in-law and niece and nephews don't end up on the street. I was born in Laos too, but left when I wasn't even 1 year old. But I get the culture. We had planned a 5-week trip, but spent almost 4 weeks cleaning up this scam mess. The whole point of the trip prior to realizing my mother-in-law was being scammed was to do a baby blessing ceremony, to be attended by hundreds of people. It's a very wholesome, positive event, something my wife has been looking forward to for a year. We didn't do it since there was so much bad energy. It wasn't until we flew to Bangkok for a few days that we felt we were on vacation. My wife used to fly back to Laos once a year, sometimes twice. She's made it very clear she won't be going back for a while.